Okay, so WER, Women's Elite Rugby, has been slowly developing over the last year as they get ready for their opening of the 2025 season. What is What is WER, the Women's Elite Rugby? It is the newest professional rugby league rugby competition coming to the United States. And as of right now, they are making their announcements and their moves for what it's going to look like. Now, a lot of people will go, oh, we have Women's Premier League, which is the club rugby positioning of women's rugby, which placated as the highest level of competition for women until today, outside of Premier Sevens, which is sevens, but the highest league for 15s until 2025, when Women's Elite Rugby kicks in. And they made an announcement a couple weeks ago about the first few teams that they were going to be bringing on. And that was Boston, Chicago, and Denver. 3 major locations. I think very, very heavy, already sports towns. Denver, very close to Glendale. Obviously, a heavy sports town. Chicago, for very obvious reasons, very deep. And then Boston has a very strong sports culture. So it made sense to be able to bring them on into these spaces right now. But that wasn't it. Next, they made the secondary announcement that New York, the Twin City, that's St. Paul and Minneapolis, and Bay Area, San Francisco, will be making the team, making it 6 teams that are announced already for the Women's Elite Rugby competition. Like, this is a big deal because the way that they're doing it, they've took a little bit from what they saw from MLR and have really focused on trying to build up investment. They have a very strong board led by one of our friends of the show, Catherine Aversano, who is the vice president for WER themselves. So a lot of motion having gone into that, and having talked to a few people in the background, they look like they're trying to be very meticulous and make sure that they can create something that has sustainability but has time to be able to grow as it goes. So they've been really making an effort. On top of that, they've been trying to show that they're still going to interconnect in with WPL, and they created a competition called the Legacy Cup, which is basically now the national championship for the WPL, which is also going on this weekend as well. So you're already starting to see their fingers kind of entrance their way into the makings of the USA rugby community. And I think their hopes is also that they can take away some of the competition from the women's premiership rugby that's happening, or maybe at least alleviate some of the strain on it so that some of the American players can just stay at home. There's players like Elif Kelter, who has been playing over on I think for Bristol for all this time. But occasionally is able to get off for sevens, but is one of the reasons why she's not been a mainstay for USA sevens when it comes to the HSBC sevens competition, because she's got work. She at work. So I think it's one that's really good. I'm hoping the best for them. Again, all of this is about being able to set up a competition that is sustainable and that understands how to utilize the environment and really be able to utilize rugby the way that it needs to be done. I'm trying to make sure I'm equating the correct team to her on the professional side, to Elif Kelter. But either or, not important. But this conference, this organization is continuing to try, and it even brings in to the next big stage for them is who they brought in for their director of rugby. This is the person who's going to be legitimately running the operations on the field. All right, they lead in the team setup, lead in basically as commissioner for this rugby league, and they announced it as Jamie Burke. Now, if you guys don't know who Jamie Burke is a big deal. All right, I need this to be placed out first and foremost. Jamie Burke is a big mother effing deal. All right, she is a former USA rugby player, a prop, a front rower. She has been the head coach for the Glendale Raptors. She has been winning as coach. She's been she's a Virginia Virginia Rugby Union Hall of Famer. She is she is a legend of the game for a long time, has been big time within the coaching, part of the decades team, etc., like that. And her expertise, which has made the Raptors one of the most formidable teams in club rugby and in the WPL, a constant championship contender. Bringing her into as a director of rugby, I think is really good to be able to help shape the future and look for what that rugby should look like. You got to give it credit where credit is due. Like they got a really strong setup going on in each of these elements there. So I think this is going to be really good competition. What they're doing with the teams, again, it's a lot of small setup. They got individual teams, individual ownership, but invested within a main pool. So, shout out to Women's Elite Rugby, and getting things moving along, because that's going to be really important, as we say, when it comes to the progression with the women's sports, women's professional sports. It's huge. It's huge. And right now, luckily, you're running into the golden age of women's professional sports. So good for them. Good.
Buckwheat is changing lives. My name is GiftTime. I'm here with Health Enhanced Foods, and I want to tell you about one of my favorite products on our shelves, buckwheat baking mix. Buckwheat is a seed that is incredibly nutrient and protein dense. But what makes it even more important, that buckwheat baking mix is absolutely gluten-free. A lot of times whenever people have buckwheat mixes, they actually even hold wheat inside of it. So it's not fully gluten. And if you're a person that is celiac or diabetic, or you're just really trying to be health conscious, it's not something that you want to have to worry about. What makes our buckwheat baking mix even more important is that it is versatile. You can use it for pancakes, you can use it for waffles, you can use it for making loaves of bread, you can make it for cupcakes. But what helps even more is that it is allergen-free, it is nut-free, it is dairy-free, that there is no additional additives in it. There's no leavening there, so that if you want to be able to raise your bread, you can put in the baking powder yourself and get it fluffy. If you don't, you absolutely do not have to. You get the bread that you love without the cost to your health. You can absolutely find buckwheat baking mix at healthenhancedfoods.com. Absolutely check it out. Get your nostalgia back. Get back to eating and loving the way that you are, and absolutely get back to the energy that you know that you can get without having to destroy yourself. I'm looking forward to seeing you get it. Let's go.